Have you ever heard of JavaScript closures, but weren't sure what they are, why they are so important? By the end of this video, you will know exactly what closures are, how they work, and how to use them in your code. Scope is all about where variables can be accessed in your code. Think it like your home. In your house, you are the only one who can access to your toothbrush. On the other hand, the TV is in the living room, so entire family can access to it. In JavaScript, we have a global scope and a local scope. Let me explain you with an example what I mean. First, if I want to create in JavaScript a global variable, I can do this like so. Let global variable and give it a value. I just created it in the global environment. Now, if I create a function, which means I create another scope, and that will be a child scope of the global environment, and create another variable. And all I want to do is print this global variable, which I created in the global environment, and then print the console, the local variable, and that's it. The local variable I have just created in the my function belong to the scope of the my function, belong to my function scope. If I execute that function, my function, like so, I am able to see both the global variable value and the local variable value. What does it say? In the child scope, I have an access to the global variable, and also, of course, it is on variable, the local variable. Now, directly, I try to read the console, the value of the global variable in the global environment. Yes, I am allowed. In line 190, I execute it with no problems. But if I try to reach to the child scope, my function variable, the variable belong to the my function, what do you think I will see? Can you guess? Let's just remove that here. Well, I got an error. Local variable is not defined. When we create a child scope, we have no reach to this child scope variable from the global environment. First, I want to define a function and call it a function order. Function order function. And I will define a count variable, let count, and starts it from 0. Then let's just define an inner function and inside of the outer function. So what we have done here is we created outer function, which is the outer function scope. And in the outer function scope, we created another function, which means that we created a child scope and called it inner function. And inner function, what all it does is it is incrementing the count by 1, which is the part of the global parent scope, right? Like count is the belong to outer function, and it is the part of the parent scope of the inner function. And let's not return it, just console.log it. Console.log the count. Then I will create a variable called myScope, and the myScope is going to have the outer function execution. And not forget to return the inner function from the outer function. what I'm doing here, I'm calling the outer function, and this execution is going to return us the inner function, right? And inner function will be now stored by the my scope. So the my scope is going to be the new name for the inner function. If I just console.log the my scope, you will see it better. I shall comment this out here. Okay. Now you can see that the my scope is nothing but a placeholder value for the inner function. What I will do is I will call the my scope then and execute it. And this execution is going to return 1. Why? Because the inner function is incrementing the parent variable count by 1. A closure is when a function remembers the variables outside of its scope, even after that outer function has finished execution. Even if the outer function is already executed and returned the inner function still have an access to parent scope's variable. That's what we call as closure in JavaScript, and it has a lot of cool applications. You can see it even in React hooks. So please pay attention to that. I hope that was helpful. Hope to see you in the next video.